I'd like to welcome you all to the annual town meeting. First order of business is to have nominations for a moderator. Are there any nominations?
I nominate Scott Cady.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second for that. Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, is there a motion then to close nomination for moderator?
So moved.
Okay. Second, close
Second.
nominations. Second, all those in favor of closing nominations, say aye.
Aye.
All those in favor of Scott Cady as moderator, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimous.
Thank you so very much. Always a pleasure. So we begin these meetings with the town clerk reading the call.
Electors and citizens qualified to vote at town meetings of the town of Cornwall are hereby notified and warned that the annual town meeting will be held on November 4th, 2022 at 7:30 p.m. at Cornwall Consolidated School for the following purposes. 1, to receive reports of the officers, boards, and commissions having reports to make. 2, to adopt the 5-year capital plan for the town of Cornwall as recommended by the Board of Finance and the Board of Selectmen. Dated and signed at Cornwall, Connecticut, this 4th day of October 2022 by a majority of the Board of Selectmen.
Thank you. At this point, Gordon, if you'd like to review the town report, please.
Yes. I hope everybody gets a copy of the town report. It's very well put together by our finance director, Barbara Herbst, and I won't read it. I will note on the cover, there's a picture there, which I thought was photographed somewhere in Cornwall. That's actually a semi-famous painting from the Hudson River School, gracing our cover. And again, there's a certain familiar format to the report, with welcoming our new members and saying upon farewell to our departed members. This is the report that goes through last June of 2022. So in the table of contents, we do have people here from various boards and commissions. So if there are any questions, if you follow the table of contents on page 5, basically if there are any questions from the audience, be glad to entertain them in that order. For the Board of Selectmen, we have our report on page 13, and I think it does summarize a lot of the issues that we are facing and we are facing as a town. And so we laid that out, and just to not try to be repetitive, but our issues that we have said we are going to tackle in our priorities in this term are housing, healthcare, West Cornwall wastewater project, updated transfer station, renovations of town buildings, disbursement of ARPA funds, supporting the Planning and Zoning Commission's efforts to implement the 2020 town plan, supporting volunteer organizations, and to encourage the continuation of attracting new residents and business to town. So I think that sort of highlights some of the issues facing the town, and if anybody has any questions generally about those issues or any of the other issues contained in the town report. We have the chair of the Planning and Zoning Commission here, for example. We have members of the Board of Finance. Not sure I see anybody here from the school board, but generally if you have questions about general government, education, public safety and sanitation, land use, civic organizations, and finally the financial reports of the town, now's the time to ask them. The only thing that has to be in the town report by statute is a financial report. It gives people a chance to take a look at where the town stands financially. And the town did end the fiscal year with a substantial surplus of about $280,000. We are mandated to have a surplus every year. We cannot deficit spend. So we did wind up with a surplus. And a lot of that was from collecting of back taxes. So I see our Park and Rec Commission has arrived, and I would like to thank them for a lot of the activities that occurred during the year, especially our vaccination program. And so again, we're trying to do more events as we cautiously come out of the pandemic. And so that's all I had. Are there any questions from the audience about any part of the program of this report? And it does identify all the town officials, who's on what boards and commissions in the early pages, so you can, if you have any questions, now's the time to ask, or you can ask anytime. But this is officially this part of the town meeting.
Seeing no hands, I guess not.
Okay, and we don't have to vote on it because these are the reports. But anyway, feel free to take one if you know some people might be interested. We do print up copies. It is also available on the town website. But if you know somebody that would like to be here or might be interested in this information, because I think it does give a good snapshot of what's going on in town with all its activities and issues and efforts. So,
And at the post office too.
there are in the post office, they're at the transfer station. And again, thanks to Barbara for putting it all together. How many copies did you print, Barbara?
340.
340. So again, feel free to distribute them as you can.
Thank you. Oh,
Oh,
is it him?
Phil.
Phil?
I just wanted to give my compliments. I've read it and I thought it was so well done and very informative. Thank you, Barbara.
Indeed.
Pulling everything together.
Yes.
A lot is going on, so.
Yes.
And thanks again to everybody that serves the town. As we say, to make it a better place. So it wouldn't happen without those efforts. So.
All right then, the next piece of our agenda is to adopt the 22 to 26 five-year capital plan. If someone would make a motion to do that.
I'll make that motion to adopt the 2022 to 2026 five-year plan as recommended by the Board of Selectmen and the Board of Finance.
Thank you. We'll need a second for that.
I'll
I
second.
have a second here. Very well. So after a motion is made and seconded, it's time for discussion. If there is anyone who wants to make any comments, ask any questions specifically about the budget now, the five-year plan, five-year capital plan, now is the time.
So this is actually the current plan we're voting on. Is not the plan in the report, because that was last year's capital plan, and we have this year's capital plan, which starts in 2023. So this is not a motion to expend this amount of money. This is more a planning document, so the Board of Finance can take a look at what are some of the anticipated expenses coming down, coming in front of us, and it gives town departments a chance to make their case for things that need to happen, and gives us an ability to try to balance things out so we don't go from $500,000 one year to $1 million the next year. We try to hit something fairly consistent. And so, for example, this year the school here made a case to the Board of Finance and the Selectmen that they needed to do some sort of one-time expenditures, renovations of their flooring. They also had a bunch of wiring that needs to be replaced for their school computers and some energy upgrades, and we felt that was all improvements that they should be done sooner rather than later, so we move some things around to make that possible. We also have substantial amounts of money in here for road improvement, for bridges and culverts, for the fire department, truck funds, town building repairs, and town planning, town highway equipment. And so those are mostly the things that we have in here. And occasionally things come up, major ticket items, say like the West Cornwall wastewater program is not in here just because it's not a routine expense. It's a fairly major, hopefully once in a lifetime event.
Thank you, Gordon. Yes?
I see the road improvements are in groups 1 through 5.
Yeah.
So is it like this, is it geographically designed?
Yes.
And you just kind of like painting the bridge, you keep recycling?
We go around in circles. So we start, so I think this year we proposed to do a bunch of work in East Cornwall. We did some paving in Cornwall Village last year, and we'll do some resurfacing, stone and oil in East Cornwall next year, then go up to Cornwall Hollow, over to Cream Hill, Dibble Hill, Popple Swamp, make our way to Cornwall Bridge, and then back to East Cornwall. So we have the town divided up into 4 different plow routes, depending on the sections, but it takes us longer to resurface than it does to plow snow. So we break this down into 5 categories. Of course, we're concerned a little bit with the price of oil. It's the primary expense here being what it is. So we did less last year than we anticipated. So that may be a concern going forward, but luckily we have been pretty aggressive in our road maintenance, so we don't have major projects that we have to do. We're basically maintaining things as they are.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Then I would ask for a vote. All in favor of adopting this 5-year capital plan, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? It has been adopted. And so at this point, we've concluded our official business, and I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Thank you all very much for coming. We've accomplished our business for the evening.
See you next year for public. Okay. Thanks, sir.
That's it. Quality taught in school. Annual town meeting. Great night.